All right, the budget battle continues in Washington. U.S. House Budget Committee Chairman Paul Ryan unveiled his 2014 budget proposal. His proposal would hold back spending increases by 3.4%, would eliminate the deficit by cutting almost $5 trillion a year in federal expenditures, and it assumes the repeal of the Affordable Care Act. Ryan pitched the plan as an invitation to Senate Democrats and the White House to hammer out a sensible compromise. For more on this plan, we're joined right now by one of the top Republicans on the Budget Committee, Scott Garrett of New Jersey. Welcome, Congressman Garrett. So good to have you here today.
It's good to be with you. Glad to be with you. Hi.
Let me just tell you, earlier in the show, Congressman Levin came on. And this is basically a starter, that Democrats were never going to sign on to this because the bottom line is he thought this would destroy Medicare. What's your reaction?
Well, I guess a non-starter is better than no starter, which is what we've had from the Senate for the last 4+ years. And here we're still waiting for the President of the United States, who has once again violated the law by not complying with the law, which says you have to have the budget in, what, about a month ago. He's done that just every few years that he's been in office. So at least we're out there, and I think that's what Paul Ryan's point is that this is an invitation to the President and to the Senate to get their act together and to present something so that we can possibly work together and find that middle ground.
It's a more aggressive invitation, however. You know, one of our reporters, Peter Cook, was making the point that this goes much further, you know, in terms of some of these spending cuts. Is there a reason for that? Do you need to start at the negotiation table being a little bit harder, given that you already gave up on revenues and now we're looking at tax increases, at least for the wealthiest Americans?
Yeah, so, I mean, look at those last 2 points that you've raised there, that, as Paul put it at the press conference that we were all at, that he's willing to make the point that we're not going to refight those battles on raising taxes on the wealthiest and also revenue increases that are coming out of that. So we're not going to go backwards, that we're going to go forwards. What does that mean? That we're basically taking those as set. We're taking the CBO, Congressional Budget Office, baseline on revenue numbers and going forward. Now, if you do that, that does make it a little bit easier to reach a balance.
If we're not going to go backwards, then why would Representative Ryan effectively include repealing the health care law as part of his budget?
Look, that is part and parcel of what the Republican Party stands for and what we have, why we got reelected, I think, this time, is because we stood for the principle that this is a failed health care system that the President put out. You know, I just read a piece in on the paper coming on over here saying that while we were in income tax time and people are all doing their income tax, that it's probably going to be just as complicated for individuals such as you and I to try to navigate through and apply for health care coverage under the Obamacare as it is to do your taxes. So we stand by our principles that Obamacare is a failed, flawed system, that it's going to cost way more than the President ever anticipated or the public ever anticipated it's going to cost. It's going to put the government between you and your doctor and your patient care. So we're going to stand firm on that and say, let's remove that, and with the savings as well, and try to go to a better health care system and a better tax system as well.
Congressman, if I may, a political question. You know, there's a lot of talk about President Clinton won the government closure battle when he was in office, and the government closed down. And I think the president is sort of betting that he can win this sequester battle by terrifying the country and embarrassing Republicans into a deal. Is your sense that that's not working as well as they thought?
Well, it certainly is. I guess the evidence shows that it's not working on two fronts. One, when I go back to the district, the people are not living in fear as the president hoped that they would do. And secondly, he has basically flipped on this issue, reversed course. He was on the fear campaign, traveling literally thousands of miles around the country, as opposed to taking that, I think it's 1.7 miles from the White House to Congress to meet with the Republican leaders and the Democrat leaders in the Senate as well. Well, now he's finally agreeing just to drive down the road, meet with the Senate, where they have to get their act together, and also meet with Republicans, which we'll be doing tomorrow in conference. So I think he has seen that his system, his idea of trying to scare people to death, and also his system of trying to, in some ways, being a little cold-hearted. We're getting calls from a lot of our constituents who had wanted to go tour the White House, and now they're being told they can't. As you know, he shut down the tours to the White House. I think he's going to see that sort of thing backfires.
Do you think there's going to be more partisan viewpoints that come out in the days ahead? More the same?
Oh, well, yeah, there'll always be partisan viewpoints, but we have at least laid, as we've done for the last 2 years, Republicans in the House have laid forward a plan of action, specific legislation. We have put down in pencil and paper, dotted the I's, crossed the T's. This is where we stand.
You've
this is what we would do. We're waiting for. We've done our part. Now they do their part.
All right. Thank you so much. Wonderful to have you here. Republican Congressman Scott Garrett, ranking member of the Budget.